There's many different types of sun visors for cars and trucks. This is the most common type in America. It's called a clamshell, and it works just like a clamshell. There's no sewing involved here. The fabric is held in place along the sides inside the visor by a set of shark teeth at the top and the bottom of the visor. The top of the visor does not come open. It acts as a hinge, and the whole visor is actually one piece that comes apart. You see these little nubs right here that go all along the edge? Well, the top section has the same thing, and they alternate to make twice as much teeth, like shark teeth, coming down and locking the fabric into place. The fabric is the same fabric as the headliner, except the foam is a little bit thinner, and this is not glued in or on. Covering this part of the visor is a little bit tricky because of this kind of rod right here. And covering the opening where the mirror goes is a little bit tricky too, but don't worry, I'll show you exactly how to handle it. If we remove the fabric, we can see exactly where the pressure points are that snap both sides of the clamshell together and lock it into place. These are like hard plastic rivets, and they work quite well and make it difficult to get this clamshell apart. On this particular one, there's 3 at the bottom, 1 on the right side, 2 on the left side, and 2 at the top. If you want to take the visor apart with the fabric still on, and you press into the fabric, you can feel exactly where these are and pinpoint their location. And you'll need to know this as we pry it apart. Now, to get it pried apart, you're going to need a set of screwdrivers, at least 3 or 4 of different sizes from small to medium to large. And you can even use a crowbar, but I would not go that far. Now, right along the rivet line, about 1 inch into the visor, and there's a half wall at the top clamshell and another half wall at the bottom of the clamshell, and they come together tightly, and you have to pry these apart. They form a tight seal, and if we look through the bottom of the clamshell, we see this. And take your smallest flathead screwdriver and work it up to the wall between 2 rivets, at the center point between 2 rivets. Now turn the screwdriver to the vertical position, and it should begin to open the gap between the 2 walls. Now go to your next biggest screwdriver and try to work it into that gap, and then turn that one into the vertical position, and it should widen the gap even more. And now do the same thing with the next biggest screwdriver, and it should pop open. If it doesn't, go to the other side of the rivet and take yet another screwdriver and do the same thing, and it definitely should pop the rivet. Go ahead and manhandle them. Just don't overdo it. Alright, that one's in. You gotta get by the wall here, and as soon as we get this open, I'll show you what's going on in there. That just popped. That's good. That is the pressure point. Now we have to do the same thing right in the middle of the mirror. right about here. But for now, I would keep that in. You don't know when it pops. No. That's not in there. That might be. Let's go ahead and turn it. Alright, that just popped. See how that's open in there? I don't know if you can see it. There's two walls. One comes down halfway and one comes down halfway, and they close it together. That's not what holds the fabric in place. Okay? You'll see what's going on when I get it open. This will do. See it? Here. Alright, let's work our way around. There's two more. There, hey, that one popped easy. Hey, again. There's still a couple more pressure points. That's what I call it. Ah, that was one. And that was another one. When your first prying is open, the weakest point, see there's a wall here and there's a wall down here, so when you're working your screwdriver and you're gonna hit this wall, so you need to pry it open in the middle section of these two clips. These are your pressure points, and here too. And there's two of them on this side. So the weakest part is going to be in the middle. So once you get the screwdriver in here, turn it and pry it open just a little bit, and then take a little bit bigger screwdriver and work it open a little bit, and then take an even bigger screwdriver right up to the pressure point and turn it, and it should pop at that point. If it does not pop open, go to the other side and take an even bigger screwdriver, and at that point it should pop. But the weakest part starting is always going to be in the middle of these. These things are tougher than they look. It's a stronger plastic than most plastic is, so it'll take a lot of abuse. If you haven't removed the fabric yet, go ahead and do that from the outside of the visor. And then carefully pry the mirror out. Don't overwork it. You don't want to break these, and they will break. You can detach the mirror with the wires by removing the rod assembly and the ground on the inside. And the ground just kind of clips on to the rod assembly, so it's really just one piece. And it's interesting here because the power wire is coming out of the end of the actual rod, and then the ground is connected to the same rod. This is closed, and this is open. And you'll see it snaps when it's closed. But when it's open, it turns that light on. Or it gives power to the light, and then when you open it, you'll have a light. And the reason is because if you left this on and you close your visor and you forget about it, you don't want it draining your battery. Comprende? That's why they do that. We can get back to the business at hand. Alright, still we gotta pull this out. This has to come out. I don't know if you can see what I'm doing. This pin here. This pops out on one side and then you gotta pull out the other side. Okay? Don't lose it. So it's gonna be a little bit tricky to cover this and snap it back together. When you do snap it back together, you have to do the top part first because it's not going to have enough room to do it if those two aren't snapped in place. You know, it's interesting how there's no relief cuts in this. Maybe a little one there. But they just wrapped it around. You see how much thinner this foam is than the headliner foam? Or you will when I show it to you. So you need to use this as an outline. And these relief cuts are absolutely fascinating. And that's where the mirror goes in. This, I just ripped it open there. So just act like that doesn't even exist. These things here will be part of the video on dashboard restoration because I'm restoring my whole dash. So they're going to get covered soon. This is just a rough cut to make it a little bit more manageable. Just to get us kind of started on the road. This hole here that we need to cut, it's like a, what do they call them, a hexagon? And of course we need to cut it a lot smaller than this, and then we'll put relief cuts in it to wrap it around, but that's kind of weird. But anyway, and like as we get this set and we go to put it on, it's going to stretch the fabric a little bit. So you want to go bigger, not smaller. That's kind of what I was trying to say about the actual original compared to the one we're making. This is danger and that's danger, so be careful when it comes to this, and this is a little bit dangerous too. Look at this cut, it's too. So that's our starting point. Now the tricky part about this is in the middle of doing it, we need to kind of put that piece back in, and we need to put that little piece back in where it hangs on the hanger thing. So we just have to be careful and keep your mind alert. You don't want to put it all back together and say, uh-oh. You don't want to go past that wall, so I'm making the fabric just to come up and meet the wall, right, and cut it right before the wall. That's about right. Very good. Now we want to make this cut going around here, and we want to make the relief cut before we glue it, and we are going to glue it now. And all we're going to glue is this piece here. That's it. Now spray glue, shake it up. And we're going to go light here. This doesn't have to be heavy. It's really hot in this shop because I have no air conditioning here and it's a hot day. So don't, as soon as it gets tacky, roll it over. And this is a little tricky. You don't want to grab it here and try to roll it. You're gonna screw it up. What you want to do is get that edge first and get it sitting up on its own first. Like that. See how it's sitting? It's standing up on its own. And now you want to roll it over. Alright, now remember those little sharp teeth down there? You want to press it hard into those teeth. Stay out of that pressure point, but it might be too late. Weak one, we don't want to over press it. Just pull it back a little. And that's great because it's going to keep this fabric moving around on us, and we don't have to worry about this shifting around if we move it around. Okay? You with me? Now you can turn this around if you need to. Work on the top part. You don't want to overstretch it. And the relief cut's going to be right about where you see that coming up when we need to make that turn. Just a triangle. And this time, I'm going to make a little gateway here for these things. And as always, after spraying and glue, allow it to tack up. And on this day in this shop, it's taken between 10 and 15 seconds. Gives us kind of a little break. Alright, now remember this part, it's important. Rest the palm of your hand. Press it up to the plastic, and when it starts sticking and standing up, still got it, but sometimes it takes a little while. Then you can fold it over. That's good. Really good. Alright, let it dry, go smoke a cigarette, drink a beer, edit a video, do whatever you gotta do. Feed the cat, mow the lawn. Right about now, you might be thinking, how's this gonna look? Is it gonna fall apart when I close this clamshell? And, no. It's not gonna fall apart. Beautiful. Yeah. Beautiful. Yeah. And the reason we don't glue the whole thing down is because we need a little bit of give and stretch as we close this and actually secure it back together. Just a little bit. And that's just the way you do things in upholstery work. It's not a headliner. So you see the X, and you may have seen this puppy here. And if this was a headliner and this is a square for some piece in the headliner, normally I would just cut the X and then just fold the triangles over. Sometimes I'll cut them just because the triangle's way too long or it's in the way of something. But that's basically how you do a headliner. This is a little bit different. You don't want to go all the way to here. But the concept is the same. You just start with a basic hole. Like that. Any way you can get it in there. Be careful here. You don't want to cut your finger. There it is. So let's start the same way you would do a headliner. And let's just cut an X. And remember, don't go all the way to the plastic. You need to wrap around. Anyone's wanting to know, I'm using 3M Super 77 glue on this. I really don't have any loyalty to any glue company. I also use Permatex a lot. But really is the best thing I can advise you to do is try them all and pick your own favorite, because I'm not working for corporations here, I'm working for you. this right here where you see all this grease, that's where this thing goes right here. And when you bring this over, the last thing you want to do is get in that channel there. You really want to stay away from that channel. And you want to stay away from these clips. So you can only go a little bit in. You just have to be careful with her. She has needs. I always got myself in trouble. I've been like that my whole damn life. Just for some, lame ass joke. Hey, watch the language. Get it up there and tell people not to use their fingers. Here I am, just push on these corners, man, they're important. You have to lift it up, lift it up. Now if you can, use your whole hand here, okay? This part of your hand, this channel where it goes down like this, it's like a tool. It really, really works. You just gotta be careful with these because there's a lot that's going on in here that you can't see. Such a dark and mysterious place. Now, you can't really see what I'm doing here, but I'm installing the roller pin, and this is the piece that snaps into that hanger on your headline. One side slides into a tunnel, and the other side just snaps onto a clip. It's supposed to be turning. It's supposed to be able to turn now. Now you can go ahead and start working on the edge now. The edge. We're going to need a relief cut right here. And that should also be a triangle because lift this up. You don't want to overlap the other piece. So when you fold this over, you don't want that to happen. So it's actually a double triangle. And remember, don't go to the edge. Gotta be careful. So that'll work perfect. And let's go ahead and make that turn if we can. And that's great. As long as you don't go to the wall, you're good. So we can go ahead and glue that. Just to get it out of our way and done. So we know we need one here, right? So we can lift this one up independently. And we should put extra glue on this because I don't have a whole lot of faith in that clip. And right now we don't have to worry about the rest, but we're going to have to put a V in. Let's see what the cameras see. Alright, same thing. See how that goes over the other piece? Well, that's why we need a relief cut right there. Now when you fold it over, it doesn't do that. Alright, now I think we should take a little bit of a break. We did a lot of gluing right there. And you don't want to push your luck, okay? You need to let this stuff dry. Especially when doing something like this because you're always moving stuff around, stretching things a little bit. This one's a little more complicated. Have no fear. Alright, from this point to this point, cut a straight line. Now take note here, most manufacturers don't do what I'm about to do in this section of the visor. They'll leave the material, close the clamshell, and then tuck the material down into the visor. It looks terrible, and this is always the weak point of the visor. What we're doing is cutting it way up close to the edge and then still tucking and gluing the edge of the material to the inside edge of the visor. Not only does it look better, but it's a whole hell of a lot stronger. And with everything I do, I try to find flaws in the manufacturer's way and make it better than new. it's best to do this like this a little bit at a time, because sometimes you have to coax things along. And this is the end that bends, so you might have to put a little pressure on here. But remember, it has to bend, so you don't want this super tight. Yeah, that's it right there. And that's where you want your relief cut. Right there. Just cut that whole chunk out that was going to overlap. And here's where sun visors tend to fail. And I noticed on a lot of visors, see, there's no shark teeth here. On this and this. They just kind of fold them in there. And kind of hope they stay together. But I find that a little bit amateurish. This wall is important because it folds into there, so you don't want to clog that up. Be careful here. So we're going pretty close straight up to this point. Not all the way, but pretty dang close. Seconds later. And the reason we wanted to go on to that is because we still need some work around here. You gotta make sure this wall is good. Gotta get those sharp teeth in there. Believe me, when those teeth come down, it's going to keep it tight on the ends, and it'll be beautiful. Let's do this piece next. don't go folding this yet. I mean, you know how you want to test it a little bit? You really have to let it all dry before you even test it. But now we're on to installing the mirror. We're done with the glue. You can put the glue away. We could re-glue and secure it around the edges, but it's got plenty of glue, don't worry about it. You want to make sure everything's tight. See, you don't want to go. I'm going to get this underneath. There we go. Oh, perfect. Beautiful. Grab your grease and just add a little bit. The channel right here, can you see that? You probably can't right there. This into that. Okay? And then snap it into place. And don't forget the ground clip, which just clips right onto the rod or the shafts, whatever you want to call it, and then roll it back, and you should see where it snaps into place right there. Get past that. There we go. Alright, folks. Everything hooked up here. Everything good. Everybody happy. Remember the top ones first. And the side. And that side. And I think the bottom is out. Look how pretty. There's the other nice. Look at my sweat. And we're gonna have to clean it up. Look at how freaking beautiful. Beautiful. Beautiful.